Right.
Yes, please.
Right. So I've set this to record to my computer. Then when I get that file, I can send it. I can send it to you.
Oh, God bless you.
And I'm
Because
hoping
what you
that's
just
gonna
said
work.
was so much information, and I was trying to write it down, but it was just like my nerves kicked in, and I was just like, oh my God, like I need to know all this because it's so helpful.
But if I use the whiteboard, then perhaps I could write it out and you could see that.
Okay.
But I haven't done that
Whichever is
before.
best for you, but
I haven't done that before, so
that's fine.
that's going to take another
Yeah,
setup.
you could just no, that's okay. Just I mean, if we could just go back to like basically like what you were telling me, like for basically for me to do my writing format where you were saying these three authors
Right.
to the subject of matter.
So I'll tell
Just
you
I just
what,
want you to explain the format for me. Yeah.
let me start off by suggesting you want to write a kind of a spaced out outline. So you want to put in introductory paragraph and then leave some space under that. And we'll fill it in together.
Okay.
The second item is paragraph 2 of your body text.
Okay.
And then enough space to write something in there. Then you're going to go paragraph 3 of your body text. So paragraph 1 is your introduction. Paragraph 2 is the first of your body text. Paragraph 3 is the paragraph in your body text. Paragraph 4 is the third paragraph in your body text. Each of those paragraphs is about one of your 3 authors.
Right. Okay.
So if you go back to your first paragraph, your introductory paragraph,
Mm-hmm.
you will say the purpose of this paper. And so what is the purpose of this paper?
To identify an audience.
That's correct. For each of the 3 authors.
For each.
Right. Using 3 quotations.
Yes.
From their work. From the work of each. To support your claim of the possible audience.
Okay.
So in this introductory paragraph, you're going to list these 3 authors. So let's say they're listed as you had said it to me. Maris was first.
Yes.
Heinrich was second. And Sedaris was third.
Yes.
So you want to list those 3 authors in your introductory paragraph in that order.
Okay.
And so the purpose being that you want to identify them, you also want to say that you're going to, your thesis will be, I will support the identification of the possible audience for each of those and support that identification with 3 quotations from their stories. So that would be your thesis statement, which usually is the last sentence in your introductory paragraph.
Okay.
All right. So then you
Gotcha.
need to make a transition to the next paragraph. The next paragraph being paragraph 2, which is the first paragraph in your body text.
Mm-hmm.
So first, you're going to talk about Nancy Maris. Her story is, and you say what the title of her story is,
Disability.
right?
Yes.
The actual title, and because it's a title of a story, it would be shown within quotation marks in your text.
Okay.
And then after you listed her, then you say, from what I read, I mean, I'm just paraphrasing this. You use your own words, but from what I read,
Right.
I believe that the audience, her intended audience was ... leave that blank for now.
Right.
And you will fill it
Okay.
in when you decide. I mean, it may be other people who are handicapped or disabled. Disabled is a better word to use nowadays than handicapped.
Right. Then handicap. Right.
Right. And so then you can use a quotation to show that. So you can say, for example,
Okay.
this quotation seems to be addressed to people who are disabled. And then that introduces your quotation. You may say, she also makes a statement that suggests that she's not being encouraged to express herself. Who are the people who are discouraging her? Perhaps she wants to let them know that she doesn't want to be held back from expressing herself. So that would be another potential audience that she wishes to reach.
Okay.
And then you give the example.
Okay.
So I'll wait till you get that down.
Okay. Give me one second. Multitasking here. Okay.
So that's a potential, your professor only asked for one possible audience, but you could add it if it seems appropriate,
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then you could go back to her intended audience and say, Ms. Maras wants to encourage others like her to speak up for themselves. And then you then show a third quotation where she may say, don't hold back. You have every right to express yourself. And just do it in a professional manner that those you're trying to convince will believe that you are sincere and that you have the ability to do what you say. And I'm making this up, but I'm vaguely remembering some of the story because I've read them all. So
okay, I get you. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you need to do a transition sentence from there to the second author, who is Heinrich. So you may need to say something like, another woman author, another female author, has directed her statements to a potential audience that includes people that are the same kind of people that she has taught in school, and they live in this area, and they are considered tribal people or indigenous people, and so she wants to share with them something about their culture and heritage. That's one potential audience, but she may instead be aiming to share the culture of the people that she's worked with in the circumstances that she describes to a wider audience who don't know about these people. And she wants them to know something about these people that she has lived with and worked with for years. So she tells a story that will familiarize an audience with these people who have not encountered them before.
Right. So that would be the audience. And then basically, like, pretty
And
much
then
what
then you find
said
a
as far as the first,
quotation that supports that.
right. Okay.
And then you need to have two more. So if that's the only audience you can identify, that's fine, because your professor is only asking for one. And so
Yes, only
you will
one.
give two other quotations that show that she understands who her audience is and is writing to engage that audience. So people who are interested in the culture of Indigenous people, or people who live in Middle America, in a Great Lakes region, people who are interested, in the history of Native Americans, and their culture and their beliefs, their family structure, their spiritual ideas. So each one of those words that I just said could be shown in a quotation. So you could break it up. You could say, she wanted the audience to know about their spiritual ideas. You can tell this by reading this quote. Or you can say, she wanted to communicate to the audience the ideas that these people had about their spiritual life. And then you can do a comma and add a quotation after that. And you can say, here's an example, or you can say, you can integrate the quote better than that. But the idea is you've got to match up an idea about the reason why you feel that this audience is possible based on the quotations that you choose.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then that's pretty much the same goes for like the third one, and then it just pretty much wraps it up.
And so then you've got Sedaris to do.
Right, the last one will be,
and you do it in the same way.
Longer,
who did he write?
yeah.
Who was he? What was he talking about? Was that about his time in Africa?
This one was about well, you know what, is this Sedaris? Yeah, this one is called April in Paris. This was about Caught in the Web of Nature. So it from what I got from it, it was basically my teacher said that it's supposed to be humorous, but I guess it's basically about the personality of insects, of a spider.
Oh, okay. So I mean, generally he writes on all kinds of subjects, but he has a particular way of speaking and writing. So, but you can't say general audience. You've got to do it from the point of view of what's the subject that he's writing about, who would be interested in reading it. So you think about who would be interested in reading about Paris. People who want to travel to the European continent and want to know what's there in Paris, or is it about any particular personalities or artists who's lived there? I don't remember this particular story.
Yeah, this one was kind of weird for me because he even wrote that he was funny, which I didn't think it was funny because he was referring to. It was about a spider, which was the whole story. It was about a spider and a species of a spider, and they took the spider with them, and they came back, and it just was I don't know, like, it was
Author
weird.
took the
It was
spider,
about
picked up the spider and took it with him.
She took the spider with her.
Where was the spider found?
They found the spider. She found the spider in her house.
Okay.
So
What
I'm
is she
trying to
do
read
with
it to just see. I'm sorry. Okay, so basically it was just the humors of like the animals, I guess something that like happened to Katrina. And it's saying 8 months later, which was I haven't kind of go with the highlights I highlighted.
I can't hear you very
So
well.
it basically is just about the personalities of animals and insects.
Oh, okay.
So
Does he
I'm
make
sorry,
any
my
comparison
allergies.
between these animals and insects to humans?
Yeah, like basically one part was that I highlighted where it was saying saying that don't see that everyone's reaction. It says there were cat people too, and those hearts went out to the abandoned reptiles. The sight of an iguana sailing down the street on top of a refrigerator sent a herpetologist friend over the edge. She seemed to be saying, "Where's my master?" He speculated. "Here it is, time for our daily cuddle, and I'm stuck on an SS Whirlpool." So it's basically what an animal is thinking about, I guess, at that time of Katrina when the hurricane hit. And this iguana basically is on top of a washing machine sailing down the street away from its owner. You get what I'm saying? So it's more like the thought of an animal,
The
what they would be
relationship
thinking if they were human.
between a human being and an animal.
Yeah.
Is it about that? So he gives examples of
Yeah.
a human being and an iguana, and a human being and a
Yeah.
spider, and a human being and something
Yes.
else. Okay. Okay. So it's
Yes.
about human being and animal relationships. What can we learn from them? What do we learn about the animals themselves? And therefore, what do we learn about ourselves as human beings in relation to other creatures that we share space with on this planet?
Okay, so that's pretty much like I just need to find an audience who this is for, and then I guess like try to talk about it. Which this one was confusing for me. I
So it
didn't really.
may be, so you can't say general audience because not everybody is interested in reading about spiders and iguanas and so forth. It may be an audience who are interested in relationships between animals and people. And
Or people who may want to wonder why people have such a strong relationship with animals, maybe.
Sure. So you can think that through,
Okay.
and you even may have a few ideas. It's like, what can we learn from animals as we interact from them? Maybe people who want to learn what it is to have some kind of interaction with an animal. What does that mean to them? What can they learn from it? It could be children or who like animals. It could be people who own pets. And I think that's probably more general than just veterinarians, because veterinarians are already interested in animals. So you're not, and they know more about it than this author does. I think what he might be implying in this, what do animals and people have in common that we can learn? What do we assume about our relationships with them? Do we just assume that we're the masters and they're dumb? They don't have any lives of their own? That'll come from how you perceive as the reader, how you perceive what he's saying. And so by having those three, you've finished the fourth paragraph, then you make a transition between each paragraph, and you have the topic sentence is always about the author, the title of the book, and what the subject is, and then then you think that the audience is such and such, and here's why, and you give the three quotations. And each of them can have, you know,
Right.
separate sentences introducing them. And then you transition to your conclusion by saying something about the relationship of an author to the subject matter with regard to the purpose for their writing to begin with. What it is that they want to say depends on the audience that they choose to address.
Okay.
Because David Sedaris is not going to want to write to mechanics who want to know how to fix a compressor or fix the
Yeah,
water
tire.
pump in the car. He's not interested in that,
Right.
right? And just like
Mm-hmm.
Nancy Maras is not interested in Olympic sports unless it's
Right.
unless it's open to disabled.
Mm-hmm.
So you are concluding that each author specifically is thinking about what audience that they want to address and choose ways to connect with that audience through the examples that I showed with quotations from each story. And you might choose a couple of phrases from one or the other or all three. You might say, Sedaris says such and such, and just use a phrase. He talks about, you know, the iguana seeking warmth at the top of a refrigerator. Or you may say, Nancy Maras talks about what she has to do to achieve something that is easy for an able-bodied person, but not for someone like her or for intended audience. And then one more, you know, from the other one. And therefore you have shown that you have gotten insights by reading these three together to see what in common they have as authors about their intention for writing.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, that was helpful.
Well, that's
no, it's very helpful. I mean, I'm glad to, because I mean, I wouldn't have never thought of it that way. It would have, I don't know. This is new to me, so I just didn't know like what.
sure.
So my question is as well, what if they don't have like, because one of these stories, like I went through the highlight quotations. What if they don't have like 3 quotations to actually support? Like, what if they only have 2? Is that okay, or does it have to be 3?
Your professor wants 3, but he only asks for 1 identification of an audience. How long are these stories? 2 pages?
Well, you got the two of them are, but the last one, the I'm sorry, my allergies. The Caught in the Web of Nature. This one was the biggest one, and it had quite a few.
Okay.
This was like 5 pages.
But if it's, yeah, so if a story is really only 2 pages long, that's at least 500 words. So there's a good chance you can get, you know, 3 quotations out of there.
Okay.
Especially if they've chosen, you know, if you can match the audience, the intended audience, to what the author is talking about.
But
And
wouldn't
so
it be in
think
quotations?
about it that all of that is intended for this audience. So what are the best quotations that show that the author is trying to reach that audience through these words?
Well, I'll try because I mean the disability one. I mean, as far as me, what I highlighted that were in quotations. I mean, it's not that many.
You only need 3.
Yeah. Hmm.
And
Okay.
if she talks something about they don't let me do such and such, then she's talking about potentially a different audience. She's talking about the people who are holding her back from doing what she wants. So you
Okay.
say
Well, that's
that,
good to know.
say in
Yeah.
the intended audience, her intended audience includes not only disabled people, but also people who want to hold back the abilities of disabled people.
Okay.
And so you could break that up into 2 sentences, saying, disabled, here's an example. But also, the audience could be expanded to include those who want to hold back disabled people. Here's an example, then a quotation. But in the end, she addresses her original audience of disabled people like her to encourage them to stand up for themselves and do what they feel they're entitled to do. And then you give that quote.
Okay. I can make it work.
Good.
Now that I know that extra word is added in. Okay. So that's that's number 2. Number 3, I think, is he's wanted me to add 2.
Add to what?
Well, I don't know. Let me pull it up. I'm jumping the gun here.
Okay.
Because I was going through reading it, but I didn't. I just got overwhelmed, but it's my fault for this taking forever. So that's 2. Yeah, so assignment number 3, he wants select one of the pieces that we have read this week, which is the Mars, the Enrich, or Sedaris, and in a essay of at least 900 words, discuss 2 possible audience to whom the author may be writing. You may use your work from the previous week as one of the audiences that you analyze. So you will need to identify at least one more audience. It says, remember, no general audiences.
Right.
Be specific.
Okay. So that's pretty clear that if, for instance, if Nancy Mares, and we gave 2 audiences there, if you can identify in this first essay, not this second, not essay, not assignment 3, but assignment 2, that it is disabled people, and you find 3 quotations for that, then in your assignment 3, you might add those who hold a second audience would be those who hold back disabled people from achieving their goals, and give a quotation for that.
Okay. So that's just me picking whichever one I want to pick. Okay, so that's cool. And then that has to be at least 900. Okay, so that one's cool. So let me go back, and then we go into the 4th one. Let me see what this one is about. It says post your thesis statement to the discussion board. Oh God. So I guess that's all I have to do. I guess that's all I have to do with the 4th assignment. It just says post your thesis statements to the discussion board. So that would be my assignment number 3.
I couldn't make out what you said, Michelle. You have to repeat.
Oh, so I'm sorry. So assignment 4, it just says post your thesis statement to the discussion board.
Oh, I see. Post your thesis statement for
on the discussion board.
The assignment. For what assignment?
Well, that's all it says. It's just saying post it. it's just saying, let's see, due this week. Um, it says weekly objective, knowledge of the composing process. Students will learn to practice writing as a process that includes generating ideas, text, drafting, revising, and editing. Recognize the writing is flexible, recursive process. Apply this understanding and recognition to produce successive drafts of increasing quality. So I mean, but as far as the writing versus follows, like to help you through the revision. So it says to, I don't know, like am I supposed to do it myself? But I mean, it's just saying that assignment 4 is just you basically need to, I need to post it on the board.
Okay. And
And I
once
guess
you,
other people are going to judge,
once
I
you
mean, I guess
post it,
review
you
it.
probably will be able to read those of other people.
Uh-huh.
And then are you supposed to make comments on other people's work?
Yeah.
Right. Does he say how many people you need to respond to?
No. No, it doesn't say that at all.
Does it say anything about you making responses to people who post their essays?
No, it just basically that thesis statement, and it connects me somewhere else. That's just giving me the definition of a thesis statement, but it just says post your thesis statement to the discussion board. And that's
Your thesis
really it.
statement for what?
I guess I don't know.
For assignment 4?
Yeah.
So what
That's
is
what
your
it's
writing
like.
assignment? What is your writing assignment for?
I mean, when I clicked on one of the guys, on one of the people who did it, they just said that Nancy Maris disability. She explains how people with disabilities are not accurately portrayed in the media. The two main audience that I feel in the article. So it's not really a long, I mean, it was just two.
So that's a thesis statement. So perhaps your professor wants you
okay.
to post a thesis, the thesis statement from your assignment 3.
Okay, yeah. So I guess I just need to just do a thesis statement, just stating, I guess whichever author I pick.
Yeah.
And like, I guess with 2 sentences. I'm trying to look at everybody else since I'll be late turning it in.
Right.
Yeah, so it looks like they didn't really have, so it's not really like a long paragraph. It looks like it's about two lines and a half of what people wrote.
Right. And that's about the length
Okay, so that's not bad.
of a thesis statement.
A thesis.
So if it is about assignment 3, which is like assignment 2, in that you have 3 authors you can choose from, and you want to choose, and then for assignment 3, you choose one of those 3 authors.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
Right.
And for
not all of them.
4,
yeah.
you take that same response, the same author that you chose, and you write the thesis statement. So the object from that essay that you wrote, from your essay assignment 3, where you chose one and you write a 900-word essay about a second audience, correct?
Yeah. And I think I'm going to pick the disability, because the other 2, I don't like those other 2 stories. Disability is going to be that'll be my go-to. Yeah, because I mean, at least I'm a little bit more knowledgeable. I feel more confident using Mayor's story than the other 2, because the cultural baggage, I didn't really get that. And then the last one, I didn't care for that story, because I just didn't, because it was talking about Katrina, and I'm thinking like, well, who cares? I know people care about animals, but I'm like, a lot of people died, and I just didn't like that story.
So the purpose of this group of essays is stated by your professor, that you need to understand that writing essays is a process, and you can
Yeah.
expand it and change it as you go along. So when you write assignment 3 and you add a second audience, then assignment 4 may be, pull from that essay a thesis statement.
Right. Okay. And then my assignment 5 is just saying submit your revised rhetorical analysis essay.
Right.
Yeah.
But because you added
I guess
a
that
900-word essay is not very long for assignment 3. So by adding another possible audience, and presumably I would think you'd want to say the same way, that this, I believe that this is another possible audience because the subject is such and such, and this seems it would appeal to this audience. And here's an example, a quotation that is an example of why you think that this second audience is correct. And then through all that, then you, assignment 4, you come up with a thesis statement for that essay in assignment number 3. And then you use all this information to make a final revision of your original first draft.
Okay.
So it will then have, it'll have your audience, it will have the quotations. You have the audience for 3 authors, you'll have the quotations, 3 quotations for 3 authors. It will have your, then you will be narrowing it down to 1 author with a possible second audience and a thesis statement for that. And then you come to your conclusion.
And that you're saying that's for assignment 5. It's just basically I have to rewrite it again, but just with just the 1 person instead of the 3.
Well, that part I'm not sure about. So I think you ought to check in with your professor and ask that question. Because does he want you to go back to the 3 authors, or does he want you to stay and clean up assignment 3 and 4 with now a thesis statement that's strong and a conclusion that's just about that 1 author that you've chosen to spotlight? I suspect that that's what he wants. But it's not a bad idea to ask. Say you've worked with somebody, he knows who I am. You've worked with somebody at the writing center, and she's unsure, and so I'm unsure. Do I go back to the first assignment, or actually assignment 2, or do I now revise what I've written about the 1 assignment, the 1 person, the 1 author that I've chosen to focus on?
Right.
That's what you need to know, because you don't want to go backwards. You want to go forward, making it narrower to 1 author, but also deeper. That's usually how the process goes.
Okay. Oh, okay. I think I can do it.
Okay, good. Well, when we stop, I will wait. I'll see the recording converted, and I'll see. I'm not sure the best way to send it to you, whether it's OneDrive or whether it can fit on your email, but I'll try whatever, and I'll be in touch with you.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
For your time.
I'm pleased that
Thank you so much. Well, you have a good. I'm sorry.
You're done. No, I'm just saying, I'm glad you reached out to us.
Oh, yes.
At the writing
well, thank you so much. You have a good evening.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.